Hey y'all, it's David Ducker coming back at you, and today I'm going to be talking about splat books. I hate splat books. I think splat books are trash, and they're a technique used by corporations to steal your money. So I think they're awful. But first, let's define what a splat book is. So when a company publishes an RPG, they're going to have their core book, and anything that's not a core book is a splat book. So it's supporting a core product. It's an expansion pack. So your core book will have the key rule set, the key setting, the monsters you'll need, how to make a character, how to run a game, what the world is like, how to tell that story. Ideally. And then you don't need any splat books, but if there are splat books, they just add. So the Warhammer core book has 8 gods and 8 schools of magic. So you have 16 groups of spells there. Depending on you can have arcane schools or divine gods. So you got 16 different spell sets you could pick, and you can multi-class between them. But their supplement, their splat book, might have that same amount. It'll have 8 new spell schools and 8 new gods, so that they're cross compatible with the core book. So if you really want to focus in on the magic, you can do that. And then likewise, the core book might have like 8 styles of fencing, 8 schools of fencing techniques or fighting techniques, and then a splat book might come out with 8 new ones that are cross compatible. So the core book only had the high scorpion style, but now the new book might have the low cobra style of fencing. So if you really want to hone in on those fencing schools and the rivalries between them and which ones are better, you can get this splat book and help you. So for me though, what I'd rather do is get the core book, and then instead of getting a splat book to supplement that, I get another core book from a totally different system. Now I know 2 different systems, 2 different settings. And it really expands your horizons so much more and more quickly. So for me, I'm very much, I love that smorgasbord approach where I take a little bit from here and there, and I have, 10 core books. That's what I love. I love exploring different systems, different settings. So for me, that's just my philosophy of gaming, is the core books are where it's at. Some people will come in and they will prefer to get 1 core book and then all of the splat books. So they'll have like 1 core book and 9 splat books for it. So if that's, let's say that's Star Wars, now they know everything about Star Wars. All the races, all the classes, all the vehicles, all the planets, all the robots, all the force powers, everything. They got the past, present, and future expansions for the Old Republic, the Rebellion, the Clone Wars, the Yuzhang Vong invasion. They got Star Wars down pat. They can play Star Wars for 10 years, for 20 years. For me, I like Star Wars. I'd probably I'd get burned out on Star Wars after 10 years. I get burned out on Star Wars after 2 years. I could have a really fun Star Wars campaign for 1 year. That'd be awesome. But after that, I'd say, okay, what about Star Trek? What about Babylon 5? What about Mass Effect? What about Dune? What about John Carter? What about Flash Gordon? What about Farscape? Not Stargate, because I don't like Stargate, but so many other settings, and that each could have a different rule set. Firefly, Battlestar Galactica. They could be so rich, and let's get Warhammer 40K involved. Let's get Traveler. Let's get some that are, Fading Suns, that are just involved with role-playing games. So really expand your horizons within the space opera genre. But then I would say to myself, Uh, will I run 2 space opera games back to back? No, because I'll be burned out on space opera. So I'll probably, well, out of all those space opera genres and rule sets, I'll have one of all of that, and then I'll start expanding to other genres, you know. So let's go into superheroes. There's some Marvel. There's the DC, Image Comics, Dark Horse Comics. Got like Mirage. You could get some that are just RPG settings. Mutants and Mastermind, I believe, has a whole setting and hero book that's all just made up for the game. City of Heroes has its own roster and its own mythology and all this goodness. You know, so you can, just within superheroes, you can get so many different games and rule sets. Just like I went on with space opera, but for me, instead of having all the Star Wars or even all the space opera, I have like one space opera, one superhero, and then, you know, the other 8 slots that the other 8, $800 I have to spend books on will be each a different genre. I'll have pulp heroes and fantasy. You have alien invasion, zombie apocalypse. Could have spy. Get some James Bond in there. You know, all kinds of different things. Anime, pirates. Could get World War II. Could get the Crimean War, the role-playing game. Why not? You know, so for me, my focus is always going to be too broad to focus on one system, one setting, one group of splat books. It's just my preference. So that's really why I just my philosophies are opposed to that style. And usually, I mean, I use Star Wars as an example, but sometimes I'll meet people who are that way about fantasy, and they're like, "Oh, I only play fantasy games. All those other genres, no, not for me. Only fantasy." And some are even more specific. They're like, only Warhammer. Only play Warhammer. I have all the splat books. I only play Warhammer. I only go into that world. I don't explore other worlds. I only support one company with my money. I don't support indie games. You know, I hope they all starve to death, because my money is going to Fantasy Flight Games and to what is it? Black Libraries? Someone could tell me who publishes Warhammer. I know Fantasy Flight publishes the books, but it's Games Workshop. Aha! Games Workshop. All my RPG budget goes to Games Workshop, and you know, Paizo they can all starve to death, and and that's the way it's going to run. So I don't like that personally. I like to support the whole industry as a hobby, get competition instead of like a monopoly, which I think is bad for business. So I try to spread my money around. Just as a consumer, it's good, and as a fan, I get to explore all these different things, different writers who I might never have heard of. So for this myriad of reasons, I don't like splat books. If I'm ever referring to a system and I say that that X is true, and you say, well, there's a splat book to fix X, I don't care. I didn't read a splat book. If I'm doing a review of a system, it's the core book. That's it. Because I don't like splat books. I don't read them. I don't plan on reviewing them. So, you know, if your core book isn't good enough to stand up by itself, your core book sucks. And if it's the foundation of your whole lineup of games, and the foundation is rotten and rickety, then I'm going to say your whole fucking product line sucks. But that's just me. I'm very outspoken. So to anyone, though, who tries to correct me with splat books as your reference material, I don't care. I don't care at all, because I'm not doubling my money to get the product that much better. I'm not doubling my investment in your product. You should have done it right the first time. So because of all of the aforementioned reasons, I really don't like books that are inherently split up, like World of Darkness, where they said this is a rule set, and you can kind of play using this book, but then you have to buy this book to be vampires, and this book to be werewolves, and this book to be ghosts, and this book to be mummies, you know. And I'm not really digging that. That might be a bad example, because actually you can use the core book for a myriad of things. It's a fairly good toolbox, and the mummy game I might buy. The other games are too specific for me. But another example might be, let's pick on Dungeons and Dragons 4th edition, where it's like some of the classes are in one book and some classes are in another book, and the setting is divorced from that. So the setting, you have to buy another book, and the monsters to fight are yet another book. And I'm like, to me, I'm thinking I could have bought 4 RPGs for that. But instead, I get to spend 4 times the amount of cash to play 4th edition. So instead of having, you know, Blazing Suns and Apocalypse World and DC Heroes and Call of Cthulhu, instead of all of that, I get 4th edition. And unfortunately, 4th edition doesn't have 4 times the depth of play of any of those one games. You know, having 4 books, you probably will have more depth than one of those. Probably not even as much depth and replay value as 2 core books, though. So it's not worth it to me. So I get, you know, a little pet peeve going on when I see a setting that's broken up in a way that you can't really use any of the other books. Now there are exceptions. I'm going to use a bad example, but it's the one that springs to mind. It's Pathfinder. Pathfinder can be used, the core book can be used as a generic tool set. It's a really bad generic tool set, but you could do that. You could use it for that. So philosophically, I don't mind getting the Pathfinder book, even though it's got no monsters, no setting of its own. I could use it as a toolbox. I could run a homebrew space opera with it. I could, maybe. Maybe I could, you know, maybe I could run a homebrew fantasy with it. Maybe. Probably not, because it's so specific. But that's just Pathfinder. In theory, though, you could have a generic toolbox, and I'll still buy it, even if there's no setting and no monsters and no like whatever is included in a GM guide that's not included in a player's guide, or however Dungeons and Dragons breaks their shit up. I don't even know, because, you know, I saw that and I was like, nope, not for me. So those are my thoughts on splat books, on core books, what I like. So I'd love to hear your comments below, or video responses. If you agree with me, that's fine. If you disagree with me, state why. Because I'd love to get the conversation going. I'd love a new person in the hobby to be able to get all these different perspectives. So I've given my perspective that try a bit of everything, see what works best, spread your money around, and you know, don't confine yourself to one genre, order one rule set, order one setting, but look at everything so you can take the best of all worlds and really have a great game and level your skills up. That's my perspective in a nutshell. If you disagree with that, or just want to offer an alternate perspective, comment, do a video response. The new people in the hobby should be hearing it, should be hearing everybody's perspectives. And I mean, I'll listen too. you'll have a hard time convincing me that spot books are a good idea, but I'll listen to you. So I'm going to sign out now. Don't be shy to comment. Like I said, I have an open mind, and new people will only benefit by more voices being heard. So I'm going to sign out now. Everybody have a good day, and YouTube.